Am I in the wrong for not heeding my husband's declaration of love and asking him to leave after he expressed his feelings for the first time? The author of the post is listed in the description. Advice needed. We're both Indian, but we've both lived in North America since our childhoods. As you might guess, it was an arranged marriage, so we only met a couple of times before the wedding. He told me right away that he had just gone through a breakup with a longtime girlfriend, and it was the only reason he was going down the arranged marriage route. I was fine with this as long as there wouldn't be any infidelity issues down the line, and he promised. He stayed true to this, but he was very cold to me for the first couple of months. In these months, we got intimate very often, but the relationship felt purely physical and lacked any emotional or personal connection. Even the ring he got me was a $1.60 plain ring from Walmart. Seeing that honestly broke my heart, and I wasn't sure if he would ever actually love and care about me. The one thing he did for me was noticing that I was struggling and overworked at my job. He makes 12 times what I was making at my job, and told me that I didn't have to work and could be a housewife, homemaker, as his income was more than enough to afford us a very comfortable lifestyle. I want to clear this and say that he never pressured or manipulated me into quitting my job. The decision was solely mine. Anyway, this gave me a lot of time to really get to know him, learn to cook his favorite meals, etc. Despite me trying everything to be the best possible wife to him, he was still super cold to me, and the most affection I got was a smile for anything I would do for him. Suddenly, just before our 3-month anniversary, he asked me if I wanted to join him on a walk after dinner. That walk was the first time I felt him being affectionate and caring. These walks became our new normal, and it expanded to actual date nights, spontaneous activities, better intimacy. I feel super loved and safe with him. Everything became great. He would compliment and appreciate even the smallest things, surprise me with gifts and flowers. Makes me feel beautiful, but he never said I love you, despite me saying it very often, and this was nearing our first anniversary. The night before our first anniversary, we were watching a show together, and around 11:30 p.m., he said, "Let's go for a walk." He had planned this, and our walk went, so we reached my favorite spot in our area, a specific spot along a walking path with a beautiful view of the nearby lake, just before midnight. He apologized for how cold and distant he was in the first few months after the wedding, followed by him telling me how thankful he was to have me as his wife, and appreciating my presence turned his giant pile of bricks, referring to the house we live in, into a place he can actually call home. At midnight, aka our anniversary, he told me loved me and got on one knee and slid a beautiful diamond-studded ring onto my finger and presented me with my favorite flowers that he had hid nearby a few hours ago. He had some friends of ours secretly record and take pictures of this entire conversation. I couldn't stop smiling. The beautiful ring, his "I love you," his genuine appreciation meant the world to me. 24 hours and many more I love yous later, we had just got home from our anniversary dinner. We looked at our photos of the previous night and the dinner, and I posted some on my social media. A few minutes later, I got a nasty DM from his longtime ex calling me names like whore and slut and saying I ruined their relationship, and she should be the one with the ring and just shitting on my entire existence. She also sent an intimate video of her and my husband. I started crying and yelling at my husband, accusing him of cheating. My husband showed me his phone, and it showed thousands of messages from his ex over the past year that he never responded to. My husband hugged me and held me close, but I couldn't stop crying and asked my husband to leave the house. He reluctantly agreed, hugged me again, and promised he never betrayed me and headed to his best friend's place for the night. I feel so insecure because his ex is so much more attractive than I am, and the video showed how intensely in love they were. I asked 2 of my girlfriends to spend the night, and they came immediately and were able to calm me down. My husband came by the next day to talk, but couldn't bear to look at him. I asked him to give me some time alone. He said okay and kissed my forehead and dropped off some food and my favorite chocolate he had got for me. 3 days went by like this, and I called him asking if he could come back home. He left work early and came straight to me. I didn't even say anything. I just broke down crying when I saw him. He held me close and promised that the only woman he cares about is me, his wife. It's been 4 days since he came back home, and he's been giving me flowers. Random hugs and kisses. Everything a wife dreams of getting from her husband. But I just can't move on from seeing that video of him and his ex. My husband has been trying to talk to me about this, but I've been shutting down any conversation. He tried again during dinner today, and this time I blew up at him and told him to leave. It was something in the heat of the moment, but he looked hurt. He packed some clothes and said he's going back to his friend's place until I'm ready to talk. I tried to stop him when he was leaving, but he left anyway and won't pick up my calls. My girlfriend, his friend's wife, called and said he's staying over for at least the night. I called my sister and explained the whole situation to her. She told me I fucked up big time and told me I was an asshole for one, kicking him out the first time too. Not even being open to a conversation 3. Kicking him out again, aita. I understand that my husband is innocent in this, but no one seems to understand what I'm going through seeing that video. Comments. Commenter. YTA. 100% you know he didn't do anything and still kicked him out. Your sister is right about what you did wrong, which was everything here. You had a right to be angry, but not at him, not even a little bit. He didn't do it, the ex did. Commenter. YTA, you won and you're ruining your own happiness. Take a victory lap, then show your hubby how happy you are that you love each other. You are bitter about how he treated you at first, but he was being attacked emotionally by his ex. I'm not sure how you let that go and get out of the way of yourself living happily ever after. Commenter. People have pasts. Generally, they've been in love before and had sex before. He loves you now. You can have a whole happy life together. The ex lost and is bitter. It's not your husband's fault she is trying to create trouble. Try not to fixate on the video. Block her and move on. Commenter. The ex isn't trying to cause trouble, she succeeded in causing trouble. Got what she wanted too, cause OP's going to lose her husband for acting like this, and the ex will be able to swoop in and be his shoulder to cry on. Update, 1 day later. I couldn't sleep after he left the second time, last night, and stayed up reading every single comment. Thank you all for helping me realize how much I was hurting my husband by not being open to a conversation and repetitively asking him to leave. I called him again. He didn't pick up, so I left a voicemail and begged him to come home and promised that we could talk about everything. He couldn't sleep either and came home around 3 a.m. I was still awake and asked if we could talk now. We sat down and I began the conversation. I explained that I truly love him, but seeing the intense chemistry he and his ex had in the video made me feel jealous and insecure. He promised that that was something of the past, and I am his present and future, and he only loves me. I apologized for ignoring his attempts at talking to me and telling him to leave. I said a lot of I'm sorries and promised to be a better communicator. He forgave me, but also told me that he was at fault as well. He said he enabled his ex by not blocking her, giving her the idea that she still had a chance with him, which caused her to try to come after me and cause a rift in our marriage. He also told me she messaged him the day after sending the message and video, again begging him to leave me for her. He apologized for his part in letting his ex disrespect me and showed me he had blocked her now. We decided to not go to counseling for now and just work on things ourselves. For my self-esteem issues regarding thinking his ex was much more attractive than me, my husband reassured me and told me that I'm perfect the way I am, and he loves every part of me. He suggested that some sort of physical exercise could help me improve my own self-confidence, the same way weightlifting helped him when he was going through a dark phase in his late teens. So I'm going to be joining a Pilates class, where a couple of my girlfriends already go quite regularly. We spent a few more hours just talking, and the topic of his ex came up, and I asked if he could tell me what happened between them. Long story short, he was reluctant to tell me. His ex of 4 years cheated when he was planning to propose. He went on a bender. Parents asked if he wanted to try the arranged marriage route. He agreed, saying he was in no condition to make good decisions. We met a month after he got clean, and things went from there. He said he regrets treating me poorly early in our relationship and regrets giving me the shitty Walmart ring because of what another woman did to him and asked for my forgiveness. About the thousands of messages, he didn't block his ex on any form of communication because his revenge was showing her his life could be better without her, but admitted he also found her desperation pretty funny. We read some of the messages together and had a nice laugh before he deleted all of them permanently on his own accord. So that's that, I guess. Talking with him went as best as it could have. He forgave me and admitted to and apologized for his parts in this. We fell asleep together. I cooked his favorite meal for lunch. We went on a walk, and all seems good. Thank you everyone for helping me realize how much we needed to calmly talk to each other. Comments. Commenter. Wow. Once in a blue moon, the comments on a post are good and actually make the person think and realize their error. All the best for your future. Commenter. That was really a beautiful story. I wish you both many happy years and as many healthy children as you both desire. Coming from a Western culture, I can't imagine how difficult and scary an arranged marriage can be for both sides. You should both be proud. Okay, next story. My wife has returned 1 year after leaving to find herself. How stupid am I for considering taking her back? My wife and I got married 6 years ago. I proposed to her after 4 months of dating, and we were married 3 months later. You could call it quick, and I'm not saying it wasn't, but it felt right. So it was me, my wife, and my son, who is now 8. Things were great. We found out we were expecting our first child together, and we were over the moon. Sadly, our baby was stillbirth, and that started the fast decline of our relationship. It sent her into an extreme depression. It was like nothing could help it, and I was watching my beautiful wife die while still being perfectly physically healthy. By the next few months, instead of waking up to her next to me, I woke up to a note of her telling me she was going to clear her head. 1 week, no response. Before I knew it, she came back and retrieved half of her stuff. I was blocked on everything. It hurt, you know? I lost my baby and my wife left me in a matter of 2 months. I went into a pretty deep depression while also having to shun it away from my son. Things were hard. I was pretty much on autopilot and became severely underweight. It just started feeling good, getting back into society with closer connections to good friends. My wife never came back during that time period, and I was just wondering when I'd be hit with the divorce papers. And you want to know who showed up at my doorstep at 5 a.m. this weekend? My wife. There were so many things I wanted to say to her. I wanted to know if she was okay. I wanted to beg her to come back, but at the same time, I wanted to tell her to leave and never come back. She came in and said that she spent the last 8 months 300 miles away and said she wanted to work on us. I smiled. We almost had sex. I took a good look in the mirror and I couldn't believe how stupid I was being. She came back expecting me to welcome her back with open arms, and that's exactly what I did. I empathize with her deeply, and I saw how bad everything affected her. But 1 year. It felt unforgivable. I told her she needed to leave, and now we're here, and I'm on Reddit, asking how do I proceed? Comments. Commenter. I think you need to be brutally honest with her. Tell her that you can no longer trust her to be a reliable and committed spouse because of her actions, and that is a wound that cannot be healed easily. Then put the burden on her to earn back your trust before investing any more of your dignity in being with her. Live apart and give her the opportunity to rebuild a relationship with you. Then she, if her effort is worthy of a second chance, she needs to bring more to the table than just words and remorse, and it must be proven over a significant amount of time, months at least. Oop. I might just tell her what I wrote here, but elaborate more. It's hard, because it feels like the time where I was praying for her to just come back to me wasn't even that long ago. And now here I'm deciding whether or not I truly want her to remain in my life. Commenter. You haven't even mentioned what this did to your son. How horrible it is for him. You can't trust her with yourself or your son. What she did is horrific. Commenter. I don't think I could ever get past the fear of her just up and leaving out of the blue again, but if you really want to give it a go, you should go to couple therapy and talk everything out before committing to anything. Oop. You are probably right. I don't think I could ever get over it, even if I wanted to. It will always be on the back of my mind, and it'll keep me on my toes. Update. 2 weeks later. For the people that want the short answer, I'm not going to try to work through things. Let me explain. I saw many comments suggesting that she'd been dating, hoeing around, even some indicating she'd gotten pregnant. False. Like she said, she went to heal, and I believe her. Because when I tell you she was depressed, I mean it got to a point where I had to make sure someone was in the house at all times just to make sure she didn't kill herself. And I don't feel like arguing on that topic with people that don't know her. I'd been thinking too fairy tale like when I saw her. Probably because that's how our story has been. Fell in love quick, married young, and thought it was together forever. When I'd seen her for the first time in such a long time, I saw my wife. The woman I fell in love with, my best friend, and my life partner, that's who I instantly saw. But one quick good look in the mirror and a few days of thinking about it got me realizing that the same woman I married was not the same woman who left me. This past year has taught me, and I had to think back to how I was feeling the previous day before she showed up. I felt very good that past day. I spent the day with my son before dropping him to his mom's. I went to a bar with friends and slept peaceful at my own home. My wife hadn't crossed my mind at all that entire day. I'd been happy beyond that past day. There is only one other person in my life right now that I need. My son. He's the reason I keep going every day. And for the quick moment I considered trying things out with my wife, it was incredibly selfish towards him. I mentioned this before, but he truly is a great boy. I still have love for her, and I'm happy that she's all right, but we're over. I told her this. We went out and spoke about everything for hours. We finally cleaned out everything from the nursery. She got most of her stuff. She'll be back soon to get the rest. She'll always be a part of my story. There's no erasing her or the love we had. What we had was magical at one point, but our story together ends at divorce. As for me, life's only moving, and I gotta make the best of it. So far, I have been, and it's been going good. Comments. Commenter. Glad you found some resolution, but hope it comes with some wisdom. If you date again, be thoughtful and deliberative. Take your time before rushing into marriage. This time around, you'll be doing with a child's well-being in mind. Good luck. Oop. Trust me, not going down that rabbit hole of quickly getting married again. At the time, it sounded like a good idea to propose to her, but I was also 23, so there's that. But I don't regret it. Those first 6 out of the 7 years were really good, and it taught me a lot. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.